Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. This video has came out probably later than I anticipated, but hey, at least we have a brand new expansion on the newest landmass in the game. Varlamore Rising Darkness, with some exciting areas to visit and of course having an otherworldly force to rip the quest cape off our backs until we get 4 more quest points. But that's just daily life in the world of Gielinor, so join me as we look over exactly what's new in Varlamore and what we learn lore-wise. My pronunciation is going to be terrible, but according to this guy on Reddit, it's pronounced Hueycoatl, or as everyone else calls him, Hueycoatl, or as I like to call him, Huey. He's a new draconic boss that is found atop the mountain range, or hill, known as the Dark Frost. Typical of a dragon, he guards vast amounts of treasure, like Avanto seeds, adamant bolts, and occasionally the rune skimmy, but I guess he has other drops as well that are a little bit more valuable. And the lore we have is quite limited, honestly, most of it coming from a children's book named the Hueycoatl. This book describes the adventure of one of the old ones walking through a valley and coming across an unhappy dwarf. So to cheer them up, they tell the dwarf about how there lives a great and terrible monster atop the Dark Frost, and how there is a lot of treasure being guarded by the said beast. This dwarf tricks Huey into believing that there is a worse and more terrible monster than itself, and its weakness is gold. So the dragon gives the dwarf a big sack of gold, and how this ritual went on for many, many years. Which, I mean, come on, if you can trick a dragon out of gold, why wouldn't you? But I guess that would explain why there's actually not that many good drops from the boss. Fresh off our vacation of the sunny side of Varlamore, we now have access to the island of Aldarin, another vacation location, especially with the house portal being right here. But this time, it's expensive. Maybe the folk here got sick and tired of us breaking into their homes and stealing their valuables every time they went out to look at their wealth. Well, unfortunately, with the extra price tag, that means we can't steal from their homes here. Well, I mean, fortunately for them, obviously. This island is, of course, where the Varlamore-based Moonrise Brewery and Winery is located, and with enough funding, you could find their bottles in your local Walmart or Asda. And with this old heritage of being the oldest and potentially only legal producer of alcohol in Varlamore, the Alchemical Society also reside here, who utilise techniques passed down by the old ones to do some funky stuff with their Herblore XP rates. This is what we know as mastering mixology. And while that does sound like a bartender course, we are in fact making potions. We may never get to drink the forbidden juice though, and despite the pleasantries of the Isle, there is the Dark Moon Ravine, which is currently inaccessible, so who knows what we'll get up to there when we inevitably travel there sometime in part 3. But of course, that's all speculation. Many of you have probably ran past the enormous remains of a superior Wyrm. I mean the Colossal Wyrm. I'm not giving it too much attention. After all, they are just bones racking up dust that I'm sure the Rag and Bone Man is frothing at the mouth to find. But when Varlamore Part 2 was released, the Grand Museum finally let us truly visit and enjoy the glorious Wyrm remains, taking in the history, the dust, and of course, the termites. You see, the actual history of the Wyrm is minimal. As we know from the tales of the dragonkin Carulm, he was the father of all worms, hence why the mountain was named after him, and it contains all manner of draconic-like creatures. So it's easy to connect the dots and assume that he is in fact the creator of this Wyrm, which does beg the question, did he have more labs than we actually know about? Unless this Wyrm travelled all the way from Currend to Hailstorm Mountain and then to the Avium Savannah, then yeah. So who knows what other mysteries of the Dragonkin await us on Varlamore. But anyway, as we learn in the Grand Museum of Civitas Illifortis, around 200 years ago the Wyrm left his abode of Hailstorm Mountain and travelled to the Avium Savannah to cause mayhem and terrorise the locals, as any Wyrm would do I guess. But cross-referencing the information from the Grand Museum and this bloody diary of a traveller from the Hasidius house, we find out that a group of warriors took down this mighty creature and left it to decompose and become a shell of its former terror that we now see today. So we can visit it, yeah. And the museum has sent its best and brightest, Wyrmtongue, to ensure the safe, stable and important preservation of this piece of history. And obviously, we get to help, right? We do work with the museum to help ensure the monument is preserved. Hell yeah, baby! Whack on your graceful set because there's an agility course to be found right on the very scaffolding. And once you've left 1,000,000 footprints and debris over the bones of an ancient terror, make sure you visit Wyrmtongue with all the termites you'll be picking up to get some sweet rewards. Personally, I'd like my very own skeletal squirrel, but I don't even have the regular one yet, so ah well. New area means new quests, and oh boy, we do have some colourful quests here. Let's get straight into it. The first quest on the list is Meet and Greet, where a Varlamorean by the name of Emilio is so in love with a mainland food known as a kabit. You might be confused with what a kabit is, and so would anyone, but you've definitely had one before. I've had more than I can think of stumbling home drunk before getting a taxi. And our player character loves kebabs. Emilio loves kebabs. The drunk dwarf loves kebabs. So let's expand the kebab empire into Varlamore. This quest is pretty quick, to be fair. All we need to do is track down a spice shipment that's been super secured by our good friend Ali Morrisane, ensure the buffalo meat shipment is all sorted by helping Orta's farm with a direwolf problem, and hey presto, all in a day's work. The next step has us talking to 3 connoisseurs of the food arts, the finest tasters in all the land, 3 people from the local pub, who only showed up after being promised a free drink. This truly is an Englishman's dream, a free kebab and free ale. Once the kebab is perfected, we take a quick trip to the Colosseum, where we have a little misunderstanding. While we're marketing the kebab, we quickly eat it, and a young Minotaur seriously confuses the entire situation by thinking we're eating his kind. I'm not sure how a Minotaur kebab would taste, but probably a bit tough. Unlike the fight, which is pretty easy, poor guy. Anyway, with all this done, we get rewarded by being able to buy 2 GP kebabs. What a dream. Our next quest sees us stepping into the Fortis Grand Museum and helping them about a stolen artifact, Xerna's diadem. We do need to pop our detective hats on and follow a bunch of clues, whilst questioning people and looking at all the facts possible. Initially, we take in what we can at the museum, before moving on to our good friend Regulus, who directs us towards the Cothan, where in order to get information from one of the traders, we need to... What? We need to do what? One small favour? Thankfully though, it is actually just a small favour, even if we do get baited by Artima when we go to her to get the sails repaired. We do find out that the thief went to Port Sarim, and so we go across the way to gather more clues. Our main clue is that he has grey hair, and when we find out what runes he was trying to purchase, which turns out to be the exact runes you need for the Varrock teleport, the clues all begin to make sense. Surely, it can't be. Who else would steal artifacts but the British Museum? Right, so we make our way to the Varrock Museum and speak to curator Haig Halen, and immediately he seems a bit suspicious. Utilising our nimble fingers, we pickpocket a key and check the storeroom to not only find the diadem, but a bunch of different artifacts that don't seem to fit in with the museum. Immediately, we begin to question him, and of course, shame him into confessing, which he does. Unlike LA Noire, he won't go running off and we end up shooting him, no. We instead agree to not mention his name if he arranges for the safe return of the artifact. Pretty simple, to be fair. When a mysterious actor and his apprentice catch your attention, and upon approaching promise riches and treasures, all for the simple price of helping them complete their performance, would you accept? We're RuneScape players, obviously we would. And that is the setting of our very next quest, Death on the Isle. It takes place in a luxurious villa on the Isle of Aldarin, and very quickly into the party, tragedy strikes. A murder has taken place, and we've just accidentally spilt wine on ourselves right before discovering the body. This really isn't looking good for us, is it? What might help our case is convincing the 2 guards to press the like and subscribe button on the off chance they like lore and quest recaps. Thankfully, down to our downright charm and wit, we convince the guards who have grabbed us to let us help them with the investigation, to gather clues and question suspects to nail down who the real murderer is. And this is where I'm going to stop talking about the quest, because that's the whole point of a murder mystery, isn't it? The final quest point that we're missing belongs to the Heart of Darkness, a thrilling sequel to the Twilight's Promise quest and third within the Twilight Emissaries series. Hot off the heels of the last quest, we meet with Prince Itzler, who described how his father barely survived the ambush and is resting and recuperating at Sunrise Palace, before going into the plans he has. You see, the prince has hardly anyone he can trust. It's very clear his very soldiers that he leads have been infiltrated by the Twilight Emissaries cult, and even after a surprise meeting with his mother, Queen Zayani Arkan, he concludes the only way to get to the bottom of this mystery is by taking matters into his own hands, but also bringing you along. Without us, no quest. We make our way to the Quetzalcoatl Gorge and discuss the finer details on how to infiltrate the cult, and very quickly find out from a local store owner that we need to head to the Twilight Temple and go through the initiation. We do love a good cult. Making our way to the Tower of Ascension just north of Civitas Illifortis, Itzler and ourselves go through a series of 4 trials. Trial 1, just your regular old puzzle involving a secret phrase and some chests. The second trial, survive. The third trial is just weeding out a traitor amongst some suspects, and, unfortunately, putting them to death. The final trial has us fighting Itzler himself, though he does warn us before he does some mad sweeping attacks, which is nice of him, but we do still laugh at him after our victory. With our ascension complete, we're officially Twilight Emissaries, though I don't think we get a medical and dental plan with that. It's still kinda cool, I guess. Bringing about the whole final dawn and end of the world. Oh, sorry, that was the brainwashing taking place. We're meant to be stopping their plans. So we go to the Twilight Temple, formerly the Temple of Renewal, and we find out the identity of not 1 but 3 traitors. Metzli, the Tearkin of Renewal, who is now known as the Augur, and Ennius and Furia Tullus, who they believe to be the reincarnation of Ralos and Renewal. If that sounds insane, that's because it is insane. What's worse, they seem to believe the lies themselves, though there are a few details that don't add up. Maybe one of them is being forced to go along? But either way, insanity is bound to be in their blood. After all, they are the descendants of Immafor Tullus, the one who brought about the whole War of Betrayal. Once the speech is done, we get our first task of being Twilight Emissaries, and that's to clear a path within a temple below our feet to investigate some ruins. Though things don't go exactly how we want them to, with a death and Itzler being blasted over a chasm, we make our way towards him whilst avoiding obstacles. We then utilise our brains to solve another puzzle whilst avoiding Frost Nagwa and encounter Amoxliatl, who questions our motives. Though these questions don't go over smoothly, we're then ambushed by Metzli and the Tullus twins, who teleport Itzler away and leave us to deal with the big Frost boss. A short boss fight later, we're evicted from the temple, pretty rude, before going to tell Itzler's father, Servius, the news. Though he thanks us, he tells us to leave until it's time to rescue his son and stop the Twilight Emissaries once and for all. And leaving the Sunrise Palace, we can go to the bank and finally re-equip our quest cape once again. Until Curse of Arav at least, so enjoy it while it lasts. Pesky thing just can't seem to stay on our shoulders for too long. There may not be a massive amount of lore divulged in Rising Darkness, but I can safely say that it's set up for a lot of lore dumping whenever the Final Dawn is released. 3 new areas, multiple quests, a Master Tier finale, what a ride that's going to be. With the revelations of this place being located within the Tlati Rainforest, I imagine that's where our first adventure will begin. And as Mod Edit himself says, we'll be learning a lot about the Old Ones. There's already hints about the Old Ones in inaccessible areas within the most recent release, like this giant tree stump. So I'm excited to see what else is uncovered, and what truths are gained from the history of Varlamore. What do you guys want to see in Varlamore Part 3? Any new quests in particular, or new skilling methods? We know we're getting a big crab boss, so that's one thing at least, and also a new fletching method. But anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, see you next time.